Torresol was established 3 years ago by the Spanish engineering company Sena and the Abu Dhabi-based renewable energy group Masdar to develop and build concentrated solar power plants, or CSPs, all over the world. At this location near Cadiz, Torresol is building two 50-megawatt parabolic trough solar plants. In fact, in less than 4 months, they have built 180 kilometers of these troughs, and that is about 1 kilometer a day.
We are just in front of the troughs. The light...
These are these huge mirrors, parabolic mirrors.
Yes, this has a parabolic shape, and then when oriented or tracked into the sun, the light is concentrated on the tube. Then we are passing oil through the tube. The oil gets pretty high temperature.
Yeah, heats up.
Yeah, and then we deliver that oil, very hot oil, to the central block, or the power block, we call it. And then there we produce steam from the heat that has been captured by the
oil boils the water.
Exactly.
That turns into steam.
Exactly.
And then what happens?
And then, well, the steam is passed through a turbine, and then the turbine produces electricity.
Now, so far so good, but actually what's interesting about this is you do something special, because you manage to store the power in a way that no one else in the world is doing. Tell me how you do that.
Yeah, part of the oil is not directly used to produce steam. Part of the oil is diverted to be given the heat to molten salts.
Molten salt?
Yeah, those are sodium potassium nitrate. Then they store that heat, and then whenever we decided, for instance, in the afternoon, which is the time in which the peak of the electricity is at the highest point, is when we can deliver the excess of energy we have captured during the day.
So you've invented a salt-based battery to store the power from these miles and miles of mirrors.
Exactly. That's exactly the point. I mean, the system is working like a buffer to accumulate the energy and then to deliver the energy whenever it's required.
And if you stand here, you can also get a great suntan.
Oh yes, of course. You can get fried. Yeah,
perhaps not so funny. Well, from here we're heading about 100 kilometers northeast to see what Torresol described as the future for solar energy storage. There's something rather unworldly about this landscape. It's very different from the other solar plant we went to. You can see these mirrors everywhere. They're catching the sun's rays and reflecting them onto the tower up there. Now, if you can see that black band, the idea is that they're focused on that. The temperature then gets to an astonishing rate, 565 degrees centigrade. They pump liquid salt up the tower. The salt gets burning hot. They bring it down again, and it goes into that metal container. What you then have is a store of enormous energy, thermal energy. When they want electricity, they release it. It turns water into steam. The steam powers a turbine. The turbine makes electricity, and that means you and I can turn our lights on.
Well, this is the first in the world. We are planning to do some other very soon. But obviously we are breaking the ice. I mean, this is very new, and everything has to be tested.
Although it's incredible to see some of the effect of the power of the sun here combusting particles in the sky, effectively this is very simple stuff, if you don't mind me saying that. I mean, it's a mirror shining at a block. Why hasn't anyone done this before?
Well, what you see looks simple, but it is not. The control system for 2,500 heliostats tracking the sun and then taking the right angle to focus into the tower is not an easy task.
And so although we're surrounded by these solar panels or these mirrors, the clever bit isn't this at all, is it? It's the bit we can't see. It's how to melt salt and make it a store of energy.
And handling in general, the handling of the molten salt is something that, I mean, it's not rocket science, but needs to be experienced and learning from the experience.
And is that your vision of the future, that this sort of technology is the thing that's going to replace gas and oil when those commodities become just too expensive?
Most of the energy in the future will be produced by these kind of systems, obviously by renewable systems. Otherwise, we cannot continue burning oil forever. In particular, to produce electricity, my vision is that very soon, people is going to be using this kind of technologies and not just using oil